Baby Jack Smith said we knuckin' and buckin'. Finish the rest of those lyrics in the comment. Jack Smith has hit Trump with a superseding indictment, and I love it. So y'all know Jack Smith brought that charge against Trump up there in D.C. with Judge Chunkin regarding January 6th and trying to overturn the will of the people and subvert the 2020 election. Well, since then, y'all know the Supreme Court did what the Supreme Court do and basically gave us a king in saying that you cannot charge a president for an official act. So what Jack Smith has been doing all this time, apparently we didn't know, but we found out today, is that he went back and reworked his case. And not only did he rework his case, he reworked his case and presented it in front of a new grand jury. And based upon reviewing the new indictment, he took out all of the things that could be perceived as an official act. Like one of the things that was involved in the first indictment was that Trump sent out the tweet on January 6th telling his supporters that he loved him. Well, they took that out in this new indictment because I guess there could be like an argument that someone or Trump's lawyers could say that that was an official act, which is Jack Smith saying, I don't even want to fight about that. I don't care nothing about them tweets. I can still make my case. And not only can I make my case, I'm going to take it back to another grand jury to see what they think, and we are going to re-indict you with a superseding indictment. I love everything about it, Jack Smith. I am invigorated. I'm ready. That doggone Jack Smith, every time I think we're down, Jack Smith comes around. Jackie! And I love the fact that Jack Smith is not going by those old school DOJ rules of them not doing anything in a case too close to an election because you don't want to perceive the DOJ, the Department of Justice, as putting their thumb on the scale and trying to sway an election one way or the other. No. That's not what we're doing. We're holding the man accountable because what Trump has been doing all this time has been delaying. Now, there's some criticism to the DOJ because it took them forever to bring the case in the first place. But Trump has been trying to delay. But Jack Smith said, no, I'm still with you.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Trump deranged Jack Smith, the special counsel who is having a really hard time accomplishing the mission from the Biden administration, which was to get Trump tried and found guilty on charges related to January 6th and the classified documents before the election, okay? And it looks like that's not going to happen, especially when it comes to the classified document case, because that case has been dismissed by base judge Elie Honig, who has pissed off the left, right? MSNBC is fuming.
Breaking news on the classified documents case. Let's get right to Ken Delanian. Ken.
Jose, in a remarkable development, Judge Elie Honig in Florida has dismissed the indictment against Donald Trump in this classified documents case and his co-defendants on the grounds that the appointment of the special counsel violated the appointments clause of the Constitution. This is an issue that has been litigated in other special counsels, has never succeeded, but Judge Elie Honig has accepted the arguments of the defense that the appointment of Jack Smith and other special counsels by inference has been improper and illegal. And I'll just read you briefly from the opinion here. She says the bottom line is this: the appointments clause is a critical constitutional restriction stemming from the separation of powers, and it gives to Congress a considered role in determining the propriety of vesting appointment power for inferior officers. The government's position, she says, effectively usurps that important legislative authority, transferring it to a head of department. Let me translate that. The Attorney General appoints the special counsel. There's no law, there's no act of Congress establishing the office of special counsel after the independent counsel law went away. What Donald Trump's lawyers argued is that that's improper. The special counsel has a lot of power. He should be established by law and confirmed by the Senate, and he's not. And Judge Elie Honig has accepted that argument and dismissed this indictment. Now, this is very likely to be appealed by the special counsel to the circuit court. It may go all the way up to the Supreme Court. And what's really interesting here, Jose, is in the immunity opinion, Judge Clarence Thomas filed a concurrence where he raised this issue, and he all but said that he believed that the appointment of Jack Smith and other special counsels was unconstitutional under the Appointments Clause. And many of us said at the time that that was, in essence, giving Judge Cannon a leg to stand on here if she wanted to rule in this direction, which no other judge, Jose, no other judge has ruled. And now she's done that, and she has dismissed the indictment in the classified documents case against Donald Trump and his co-defendants.
The entire indictment dismissed by Judge Cannon.
That's correct.
Right? They have been fuming over Elie Cannon standing up to Jack Smith and this political persecution. But who knows? Jack Smith is trying to get that case revived. We'll see if he's successful with that. He's also trying to get ahead of the Supreme Court when it comes to the January 6th case, in which he had the homework assignment of figuring out which acts that Trump participated in on January 6th or leading up to January 6th are official acts and which acts are private acts, okay? Acts that are not immune from prosecution, okay? And Jack Smith has refiled his indictment, the January 6th indictment, against Trump with his homework complete, right? He's outlining the things that he believes are private acts, and he's saying that, hey, Trump can be charged based off these things. However, the problem is, while liberals are celebrating this, it's not going to make this case move any fast. So we're definitely not getting a trial before the election, which is something that the mainstream liberal media and the left, this is what they want so badly, because they want to try to rig the outcome of the election. And this is Jack Smith's last-ditch effort to do this. It is a reminder of what is at stake, okay? Because we cannot forget, if Trump loses this election, it is likely that he's going to go to jail, okay? Democrats are relentless in their political persecution of Trump. They're going to put him behind bars, okay? This is a must-win election for Trump, okay? And that's what people have to understand. This is the most important election of our lifetimes, because if Trump loses, then it's game over, right? He is going to jail, okay? They're not going to stop until he is in prison. However, if he wins, then the federal cases basically go away, and the state cases, it looks like they're going to fall apart on their own, which is going to be explained by CNN's chief legal analyst, Elie Honig. So let's get into it.
Who gets to decide and when, if they did enough here to comport with the Supreme Court ruling?
Ultimately, the Supreme Court. So here's
Funny how that works.
Yeah, right. It'll always come back to them. Here's what'll happen. So Jack Smith has now voluntarily pulled part of his case out. Now, starting later this week, we're going to go through the process where the parties argue about it. Donald Trump's team is not going to say, wonderful, we're happy with the superseding indictment as is. They're going to say all of it's immune. And then Judge Chutkan's going to have to sort it out. But whatever she decides, Trump has the right to appeal to the mid-level Court of Appeals and then to ask the Supreme Court to take it, importantly, before trial, which is why if trial happens in this case ever, it's not going to be for quite a while.
So not before the election.
No way.
To be 100% clear, I think the tenor of the entire discussion the last few months about all the cases about Donald Trump has been, if he wins the election / when he wins the election, all these cases go away. Well, the election looks a lot different now, potentially, than it might have a couple months ago when Joe Biden was still running. Trump could lose.
Yeah.
What happens if he loses to these cases?
Game over. Game over. And this is why I'm doing this video, guys. This video is a reminder of what's at stake. Okay, people got to understand. If Trump loses, they're going to throw him in prison. This is why it's important to vote like our nation depends on it, because it literally depends on it.
It's such a good reminder of the stakes for Donald Trump, the individual, because if he wins, he's president, and these cases all go away or get put on indefinite long-term hold. But if he loses, he's going to have to contend with all four of these cases. Now, the case we've been talking about, the January 6th case, that'll take a while to go through the process we just discussed, but I think it will ultimately make it to trial. But you and I are going to be standing here in 2026 possibly talking about that trial. The other federal case, the classified documents case, currently dismissed. Jack Smith filed a brief a couple days ago asking to revive it, and I think he'll win on that. I think he'll get that case reinstated. But again, we're looking at trial late 2025, 2026. I think both state cases are in serious trouble. Obviously, the Manhattan case is over. We have potentially sentencing in a few weeks, but I think there's going to be a major appeal issue. I think there's a good chance that case gets reversed. And the Georgia case, I think we've seen the last of. I think that case is going to get thrown out.
Wow. What a shocking admission from a CNN legal analyst. He's saying, well, the state cases, they're going to get thrown out, right? The New York case, the hush money trial, hush money case, yeah, that will get overturned, okay, on appeal, because we all know that one was the most obviously rigged case, okay? I mean, they just rigged it right in front of America, okay? And they didn't even lie about it. They all came out and said, yeah. If this trial happened in any other state, maybe in any other jurisdiction in New York, right, outside of Manhattan, yeah, this is not the outcome, okay? So they just openly tell you that one was rigged. Now, the Georgia case, the Fani Willis case, that one is falling apart because of Fani Willis and her reckless behavior with Nathan Hot Dog Wade, okay? And ultimately, it's probably going to fall apart because of her lashing out against Trump's team for challenging the relationship that Fani Willis had with Nathan Wade and whether or not it presents a conflict of interest. She lashed out, boohoo, whining, and crying, racism, okay? And that is one of the issues that the Trump team is challenging in court in regards to getting the case thrown out, is that, well, Fani Willis is out here as a prosecutor saying that the defendants and their team, they're racist, right? And that could taint the jury pool in Fulton County, which we know that it has. I mean, Fulton County is deep blue, okay, largely black, okay? If this woman is out here saying that the defense team is racist against her, yeah, that's going to affect the jury. This case needs to be thrown out. That is what they call forensic misconduct. Fani Willis just basically destroyed her own case, okay? And when she couldn't get her way, which, again, the whole point of the case was for it to happen, the trial to happen before the election, when it became clear that that wasn't going to happen, she made it even worse by continuing to lash out, boohoo, whine, and cry racism, because, again, the whole point was not about justice, right? That's not what it was about, because the charges were bogus in the first place. It was simply about trying to get Trump convicted and locked up before the election. Now that she has failed at that, she doesn't care about the case at all. She doesn't care. She's like, you know what? Screw the case. Okay, regardless of whether or not Trump gets elected president, this case probably is going to fall apart because she doesn't care anymore, right? She didn't accomplish the mission. She failed. So, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so that's what's happening with the state cases. Again, we could be in a situation where, again, if Trump wins, the federal cases go away, the state cases are going to go away, and he's in the clear. But if he loses, then it's almost certain that the federal cases are going to go to trial at some point. And maybe before the 2028 election, we could be looking at Trump being convicted and locked up, right? So that's not something I want to go through, right? That is the last thing that I want to go through. So, again, we have to get out and vote.
Federal cases, if Donald Trump loses, he's facing serious trials, and he'll have a lot of time on his hands if he's not president.
Yeah, if he loses, I think it's very likely he's going to have 2 federal trials, late 2025, early 2026.
And one other point I want to make here, because it's so extraordinary in the discussion over the last 24 hours about Jack Smith filing the superseding indictment in the federal election case. In the classified documents case, the judge, Elie Honig, has ruled the special counsel is a sham to begin with, right. Can't exist constitutionally. So you've got one judge saying this whole thing doesn't count, while the other case in a parallel term is going on full steam.
So there's some interesting tactics, strategy at play here by Donald Trump's team. Remember, he's got 2 different federal indictments, both of them brought by special counsel. Yeah. Actually, the first one that dropped was the D.C. one, the Judge Chutkan case. Donald Trump never made this argument about special counsel to Judge Chutkan. Instead, he waited and made it only to Judge Cannon on the Dox case, and he won with her. Now, again, I think that's going to be reversed. But I think what we have here is a pretty clear case of judge shopping. I mean, as between the 2 judges, it seems quite clear. Trump's team said, let's hold off on the D.C. case. We don't think we have a favorable judge there. Let's bring it to Judge Cannon down in Florida. They were right. But again, I do think she's going to be reversed.
It just shows what a real outlier it is judicially, that ruling compared to everything else that we've ever seen.
I guess
well, I don't know. Clarence Thomas seems to agree with Judge Elie Honig, and maybe this is something that should be revisited, right? They always try to frame Judge Elie Honig as some type of crackpot, but maybe, just maybe, she's actually correct on this, and this is something that should be corrected. Maybe we should not just allow the DOJ to appoint these type of special counsels without any real oversight or approval from Congress, right? This is a lot of power being given to an individual, and it can be weaponized for political purposes. Yeah, maybe this is something that we should revisit, okay? I just love how they never have the real conversation that I think is relevant to this topic of special counsels and the constitutionality of it. Now, again, some people may say, well, this has already been litigated. They've already talked about this. Well, you know what? We should still revisit it, okay? Because clearly we're saying this system be abused, okay, to try to lock up in jail people who don't agree with the Democrat Party. And Democrats will continue to abuse this going into the future. So, again, maybe it's something that we should revisit and talk about. But regardless, my point is this, is that, yes, there's a lot on the line in this election. People cannot forget that, again, if Trump loses, it's likely game over, okay? They're going to throw him in jail, and that will be the beginning of Democrats taking power and control forever, basically, right? Because they're not going to give it up, okay? They essentially proved that with Trump, hey, we can do this and get away with it. The media will support us. There's no accountability for us doing this. Republicans are weak, right? They're not going to stop it. They will never, ever, ever let go of power again, okay? They're not going to do it, okay? So there's a lot on the line, okay, in this election, and people have to remember that these people are so deranged, they're so sick, evil, and twisted that they're not going to stop trying to throw Trump in prison. Even if he becomes elected president, they're going to try to impeach him. In the first year, there's no doubt in my mind, they will try to impeach Trump, which is why I find it so weak and silly that Republicans aren't moving forward with the impeachment of Joe Biden, because you know what's coming if Trump wins. If Trump wins, Democrats aren't going to say, oh, well, what are our moderates going to think, right? What are the undecided independent voters going to think in the midterms about us impeaching Trump? No, they're just going to do it because they're going to say, yeah, well, it's justified because it's Trump, right? But Republicans, on the other hand, they're worried about what everybody thinks instead of just doing the right thing, which would be to impeach Joe Biden, okay, to give Democrats a taste of their own medicine. So, hey, that's neither here nor there, but regardless, again, the point of this video is to remind people what is at stake. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.